This episode is brought to you today by Whitehall Mortgage, where there's a will, there's a Whitehall. Buying a home starts by getting a pre-approval, and nobody does it better than Doug in Dallas. Call them today at 570-562-7505 or apply online at whitehallmortgagefinancial.com. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Wychock. I'm the host of the Real Estate Right Now podcast, and today I have a pretty good episode on board for you guys. I'm going to talk about this because this is what's going on in my own brokerage right now. So if you're a realtor and you're having a great deal of success, or maybe you're even an independent broker who's starting to have a great deal of success, this is something that hopefully it'll help you to some degree. And one thing that we're starting to talk about with our realtors right now, I want many of them to start setting up LLCs for themselves. And the reason I want them to do that is what we're going to talk about in today's episode. This kind of comes from the standpoint of, I think, as a broker, especially at an independent office, you have to do more for your realtors than just making sure that they're helping buyers and sellers. Obviously, you want to make them successful realtors. You want to give them the tools. You want to give them the guidance, the help, whatever it is that they need to be successful. You want to do that. But even more important than I think making them successful realtors, I think you have to have, there's some obligation to help these guys set up their future as well. We see it in our market all the time, and I'm sure you do too. We almost joke around. We say like realtors don't retire. They just fade away into oblivion somewhere. They work until they literally cannot work anymore. I feel really bad for those people. And what's funny is I think sometimes people almost make it sound like they're choosing to do that, and you know the types of people, right? They say, oh, I don't mind working. I love what I do. And that's great. But I don't, I'll be honest with you. When most people say that to me, I don't believe them. All right. I don't believe them. And look, it's not that I don't believe that they love what they do. I love what I do too. I love my job. I don't know what else I'd rather do as far as a job is concerned. However, I love other things too. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love fishing. Depending on the day and how I'm hitting them, I love golf, right? I like going on vacation. I like traveling. I like going to watch my favorite sports teams. I like catching shows in New York City. All these different things I enjoy, right? So these people who say that they're in their 70s or around here, we see them in their 80s still out there hustling, selling houses. Oh, I love what I do. Yeah, is it that, or is it that you just didn't have a plan? Are you working because you just love it, or are you working because you have bills to pay, right? And I don't think you want to be in that position. So one thing I want to talk about with my realtors, especially once they start to have success, is some type of future planning. And I think setting up an LLC is a great way to go about that. Now, look, I'm not an accountant. I'm not an attorney. I'm just simply telling you what I do. All right. And if I do it, you could do it too. But I think if you watch this episode and this gives you some ideas, I think the first thing you need to do is contact an attorney or someone that can set up an LLC for you and talk to your accountant and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. These are the things I want to do. Is this something I can do? And really get professional help. But I'm just going to tell you the reasons why I do it and why I think it would work for you as well. One thing that I encourage my realtors to do once they set up an LLC is set up a payroll for themselves. Okay. One problem that we have in real estate is that we make money in bunches. And sometimes we make a lot of money and sometimes we make very little. And I think if you don't have a plan for that, it can get really hard to budget. You have a month where you make $17,000 and you're feeling great. But the next month you might make $3,000. All right. So you have to have some way to manage that money. And I think if you set up a payroll for yourself, you're kind of building in your budget, right? If you're going to payroll yourself $4,000 every other week or whatever it is, $5,000 every other week, whatever the number is, you're starting to take a job that doesn't have a regular paycheck and you're starting to make it kind of regular for yourself. And I think there's real benefits of that, right? Because it helps you save money when it's really coming in and it helps you have money when it's not really coming in. So I think setting up a payroll is one huge benefit of having an LLC. Another thing, when you set up that payroll, I tell my realtors all the time, it allows you to set up things like a 401k or a Roth IRA. Whichever one you want to do is fine. I don't care, but I do think it's good to have some retirement money set aside. I know a lot of realtors invest in properties as well. I think you should do both, ideally. But I think, I like a 401k because it's tax deferred. If I put $20,000 into my 401k, that's a $20,000 reduction on my earned income, and that's what works for me. If you have kids, all right, if you have children and you want them to go to college someday, you can also set up a 529 college savings account for your kids, which is also tax deferred. So you're decreasing your tax burden and you're helping your kids' future by setting up college savings accounts for them. So, a 401k, some type of retirement plan, some type of college savings account, I think it makes a ton of sense for people with an LLC. Something else, if you have kids and they're old enough where they can do some things, start paying your kids from the LLC, all right? My kids' hobbies are kind of expensive, right? Dance and modeling and karate and golf and all these other things that my kids do, they're expensive. So what we do is we pay the kids. And by paying the kids, again, we're reducing our tax burden. And then the money that we pay the kids, that's the money that we use to then put them into their activities that they do. It's a great way to reduce your tax burden, but also, give the kids some responsibilities as well. And I don't have the kids. I mean, obviously my kids aren't out there selling houses, but they can run a vacuum at the office. They can shred paper. They can, tidy up around the place a little bit, right? And those are things that you could pay them for, which gives you some tax advantages. Another thing that I do, for instance, my cars are in the business name. So I don't own my car. Wychock Real Estate does. So when I make that payment, a lot of that gets to be written off at the end of the year on my taxes. So all of those things are able to be done with an LLC. Even as a realtor, you could do all those things. You could set up a payroll, a retirement account, college savings accounts. You could pay your kids. You could put cars in your names. This could add up, guys, to tens of thousands of dollars in tax savings. Another nice thing about running that payroll is you're paying your taxes little by little as you go. You should be making those quarterly tax payments. But I mean, even if you're, maybe not the best at doing that, running the payroll, you're still taking taxes out of every check. So these are advantages. Another thing that you could do, one final thing, you could elect S-corp status, which reduces that self-employment tax for you guys as well. And again, look, guys, this is like the tip of the iceberg of stuff that you could do. But if you're watching this and you haven't done it yet, I'd encourage you to talk to someone about setting an LLC up for yourself. If you're a broker and you have realtors doing great, making a ton of money, have a meeting and sit down with them and talk to them about this type of thing. I think it's important to show people that you don't just care about them because of what they can do for you. You actually want to bring something to the table for them as well. You want to help them set up their life where they'll be in a much better position. So they're not the 82-year-old realtor who no longer can walk up steps, but they just love the job. I think it's sad. I think that's a sad position to be in. It's certainly a position that I don't want to be in, and it's a position that I don't want to see any of my realtors in as well. So start having these conversations with your people. I promise you they'll be beneficial. And if you're thinking about this type of thing, talk to some professionals. These are just the things I do. Trust me, this is not a masterclass of what you can do with an LLC. It's a place to start. And if you haven't done it yet, please find out about it. You will not regret it. It will only make things better for you now and in the future. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us for today's episode, everybody. If you want to hear more content, follow us at Real Estate Right Now Pod on YouTube. Once you're there, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. And if you want to follow me directly, check me out. It's Dave Wychock at Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, all the socials that you're already using.